It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm senior meteorologist Wesley Williams, and thank you for waking up with Wesley. Some reason I got pizza on the mind because I'm thinking hot and ready. That's a Little Caesars joke. But are you ready for the heat today? Because that's what's headed our way. A toasty Tuesday for the entirety of South Mississippi, and some places could come close to the century mark. We're talking about 100 degrees possible on the thermometer for some parts of South Mississippi. This video will cover the temperature forecast for the day ahead and take a look at the latest hot weather alerts that are in place for today and tomorrow. And then after that, we'll take a look at the pattern that will actually change a little bit as we head to later this week, and setting the stage for maybe wetter weather later this week that could help to fight off some of that heat. All right, so one place I want to focus on today is Stone County. Why are we picking on y'all in the Wiggins, Perkinston, Big Level area? It's because you have some of the highest temperatures that are forecast in our 6 southernmost counties today. You can see those forecast temperatures are 99 in all 3 of those Stone County locations. And right now, the thermometer is reading 84 in Wiggins and Big Level. It's reading 82 degrees in Perkinston. So you've still got whatever. If you step outside right now in Stone County, imagine that it's going to be about 15 degrees hotter than whatever it is right now once we get to this afternoon. So it is going to be a hot one. We got all of those temperatures for our inland communities, inland counties here. Pearl River, Stone, George counties. You're looking at temperatures rising into the upper 90s in Pearl River County, around 99 in Stone County, and looks like around 98 in George County near Loosedale. So this type of heat, again, very close to 100 on the thermometer. You look down along the coast and you'll still see some sizzling heat. For places that are mainly south of I-10, it looks like mainly middle 90s. A place like Bay St. Louis could go to 95 today, as well as Long Beach and Pass Christian. Looks like Ocean Springs around 95 as well. But if you go a little bit to the north of that, that's when the temperatures start to increase. D'Iberville looking at 96, Woolmarket, Lyman 97, as well as the Kill and Diamond Head. Looks like 98 for the high today in Woolmarket. And in Jackson County, the same holds true, where if you're down near or south of I-10, that's generally those middle 90s in Gaucher, Pascagoula. But you go north of that and you're seeing those numbers creeping up. 97 Moss Point, Big Point, 98 Van Cleve, 99 LaRue in the northwestern part of the county. You can also see a 98 in Saussure. Probably will be around that same temperature near the Tradition portion of northeastern Harrison County. So, ouch, right? This is definitely one of the hottest days it looks like we've seen so far this year. But is it the hottest July 22nd ever recorded? It'll come close, but right now, if the forecast happens exactly as expected, if we actually hit 96 in Gulfport, where they keep the climate records at the airport, the record is 99 to beat. So we actually would not beat the record that was set back in 1981 of the hottest July 22nd ever recorded. Now, 99, that's not that hard of a record to beat, considering this time of year, usually the record highs are in the triple digits. A place like Hattiesburg, their record high today, 101. So a forecast of 98 might not be enough to cut it. Jackson, their record high, 103. A forecast high of 98, definitely not enough to come close to that. So when the records are a little bit higher, it can be harder to reach them. But a place like Mobile, their record high, maybe they tie it today. The record 98, and they're forecasting 98 degrees. Now, here's an overview of South Mississippi. We just covered all of the towns in all of our 6 southernmost counties, and you can see the general trend here. Upper 90s for most areas to the north of I-10, and then when you get closer to the beaches, that's where you see those temperatures mainly in the middle to upper 90s today. This is actually above normal for us. Remember, in South Mississippi, normal is lower 90s. So to have middle and upper, a little bit above normal for us. We know it's hot every summer, but the normal heat is lower 90s. So to have upper 90s, that's hotter than your normal summer heat for us. Now we're getting into the danger zone, and when we come to the heat index, that's a different number. You know, temperature is just telling you how hot or how cold it is. The heat index tells you how hot it feels when you factor in not just temperature, but also that dew point, the number that tells you how much mugginess is in the air. And, you know, if it were just a completely crisp and dry day, we probably wouldn't have a heat advisory. But because it's hot and it's really humid and muggy outside, that makes it feel even hotter. In fact, it makes it feel dangerously hot. How high are we talking? Well, we're talking about 110, which is the same that we saw yesterday and the day before that. This will be our third day in a row with a heat advisory in South Mississippi. And that's mainly because we could see that dangerous heat index of 110 degrees in our area. Could be worse. Our neighbors just to the north in the Pine Belt, they're under a heat warning because they could see a heat index of about 115, up to about 115 degrees. So that is actually the worst heat alert you can get, is the extreme heat warning. It doesn't get any worse than that. And today, that's what our neighbors near Macomb and near Hattiesburg will have to face. Now, will that be us tomorrow? That's what we're looking at. There's already a watch that we're in for Wednesday. So this is a look at the extreme heat watch for the Mississippi coast, and this is for tomorrow. So this means it is possible for us to see a heat index on the coast up to 115 on Wednesday. That would be worse than today. It would actually be the worst of this entire heat wave if we get that. Now, the confidence is not a guarantee on it yet, so that's why this is just a watch. It's also kind of early, right? It's 24 hours away. But over the next 24 hours, the National Weather Service will pull the trigger. They will make that decision on whether they're actually going to upgrade this to a heat warning for our coast, or if they're just going to let it ride as they'll let it become an advisory for the coast. So if it's an advisory tomorrow, then it'll just be kind of the same type of heat we've been seeing each day. But if it's going to become a warning tomorrow, then it actually will be a high confidence that will be kind of the spike of our heat wave. I think what happens from the change from today to tomorrow, not so much that the mugginess will change, but it's actually that the temperature might actually come up just a little bit more. So that might just push us right over that threshold to get into the heat warning for Wednesday. So something to keep in mind. You're probably, and by the way, sometimes depending on the type of alert it will either just be like a regular weather app alert, but sometimes these alerts can be like a bit more significant. Like, you know, if you're in a flash flood warning or tornado warning and your phone starts going, you know, berserk, it starts vibrating and making all these weird sounds, and you have to actually like dismiss or acknowledge the notification. Well, yeah, that usually happens with tornado warnings and flash flood warnings because of the considerable threat to life and property. Sometimes that might happen with some of these heat warnings too. So if that happens over the next 24 hours, just know I gave you a heads up that your phone might, you know, go haywire because of that alert, that warning, that heat warning that might come out for the coast heading into the next 24 hours for Wednesday. Now we can take a look at some of the raw modeling information as far as those heat index numbers. This is today. What are you planning to do outside at 10 in the morning? Might feel like 105 in Biloxi and Pascagoula. What about at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Might feel like 108 in places like Waveland and Bay St. Louis. If you have plans around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're looking at the heat index still pretty close to 110 today in our coastal communities. So this is definitely a day just like the last couple of days. Heat index about 110, might be even a little bit higher than that. Yesterday we did 113 in Moss Point, Pascagoula, so maybe you do that again today. All right, the heat index will finally creep down to non-dangerous levels once we get to the sunset. So you can see only around 100 by 7 p.m. and then below that after 7 or 8 p.m. Tomorrow, the numbers go right back up. This is a look at tomorrow morning, 10 in the morning. It's like a repeat of today, back into the 100 to 105. And then you can see we go to the afternoon, and some of these numbers a degree or two hotter than today. So that's the thinking, that tomorrow is going to kind of be the peak and will be the worst of this. Now, there is a saving grace. You can see, look at this. Look at the specifics of what just happened here. 2 p.m., Biloxi 110. 3 p.m., Biloxi 108. 4 p.m., Biloxi 105. What's going on? Why is the temperature dropping during the hottest part of the day? The heat index dropping during the hottest part of the day? Well, it's not because there's a cold front. It's actually because better rain chances tomorrow. But notice that those rain chances, those rain showers did not pop up until the heat was already at its worst. So that's why you'll look at some of the information like our forecast into the next 7 days or the next 3 days, and it might make you kind of, scratch your chin or your forehead a little bit and wonder what's going on here, right? The rain chance tomorrow is triple the rain chance of today, but it actually gets hotter. And it all has to do with the timing of the rain. It looks like the timing is not early enough to stop us from getting hotter. So we will likely get even hotter tomorrow, and then after we are hotter, then the first raindrops might begin to fall. And not everyone will see rain tomorrow. Some places might miss out on it. That's not a 100% chance, but it is about 50 to 60%. So this is a look at why we're going to see these changes going into the next few days. We've been mentioning that we have a heat dome sitting on top of us with the hot high pressure. That is moving away. We can actually look at, the weather kind of geeky information in regards to barometric air pressure. We talk about high pressure, we talk about low pressure, but we can track this. There's literally a weather instrument called a barometer, and there are at least 3 or 4 of them on the Mississippi coast. One at Keesler, one at Trent Lott Airport near Moss Point, Pascagoula, and one at the Gulfport Airport. A barometer measures barometric air pressure, and it tells you if you're seeing higher air pressure, that means a high pressure system's probably close. If you're seeing lower air pressure, that means a low pressure system is moving closer. And if you take a look at the last 6 days, and really focusing on this time frame here from Saturday into the last few days, notice the pressure has been dropping more and more. Now, I will say from Saturday to Sunday, barely any movement. And from Sunday to Monday, we did start to see a little bit more of a decrease. But then from Monday to Tuesday, we definitely saw that decrease. That was the sharpest drop, I think, out of those 3 or 4 days in the barometric air pressure. So this means that high pressure is beginning to move away from us. And the high pressure is the reason why it's so hot. It's also the reason why our rain chances are so low. And so when you track that, it becomes easy to see when you look at this weather pattern map and you see that H there, that's that high pressure. It's going to be moving away from us as we go to the next several days. So this is the high pressure situated very close to us today. But as we go through time, you'll notice it just kind of presses up to the north and then eventually it moves off toward the east. And that's, once that high pressure moves out of the way, there's nothing in the way of that plentiful atmospheric moisture, which is going to move in from the east. Today, that moisture is located near the east coast of Florida. But give it some time and it's going to move into the Gulf. It will move westward into the Gulf. Last week, we were watching Gulf moisture to see, remember 93L? We were watching it to see if it might become a depression or storm. Maybe the National Hurricane Center will watch this zone in the northern Gulf to see if this moisture might become a depression or storm. Last week, it failed to do it. Maybe it'll fail to do it again this week. But the bottom line is, regardless of if it develops or if it fails to develop, going to see those higher rain chances. And that's the key to really getting rid of the heat. When you have low pressure, when you have rain chances, that's going to be a big help to helping us out getting out of this kind of heat wave. It will break the heat spell. So there you can see today's rain chance, really not much to look at. For Tuesday, only 10 to 20%, but then you can see Wednesday 50 to 60% and Thursday 60 to 70% in South Mississippi. And that's what gets those temperatures to eventually come down. Like I said, I know it's a little misleading. Even though we have a higher rain chance on Wednesday, the temperature is also going up. But like I will continue to repeat, it's mainly due to the timing of the rain. I think that the rain won't happen early enough before our temperature spike. But then by Thursday, we could have some more rain and clouds in a little bit earlier in the day, and the low pressure will be much closer to us, and that all will have kind of a curbing effect on how hot things can become. And it will bring our temperatures down into the upper 80s or to around 90. They'll stay near normal on Saturday, and then maybe they start to creep back up a little bit heading into Sunday and next Monday. But the weekend, if you got weekend plans for Saturday and Sunday, it's looking pretty good. I think we can find a lot of complaints about the weather for the next 2 to 4 days. The complaint for Tuesday is dangerously hot out there. The complaint for Wednesday is it will also be dangerously hot, and it might turn kind of stormy heading into the late afternoon and evening. The complaint for Thursday is that there might be rain all over the place, some on and off scattered showers and storms, and they might get in your way of your outdoor plans. The complaint for Friday, same as Thursday, scattered showers and storms on and off throughout the day, and that might get in the way of your plans. But as we go to Saturday and Sunday, I don't see as many complaints because it actually resembles a very typical summer-like day on the Mississippi coast. Rain chances are close to normal. It is normal for coastal Mississippi to see some pop-up showers and storms each day in the summer. So a 30 to 40% rain chance for us, totally typical. And so that's a classic summer rain chance. It's also going to be generally classic summer temperatures. For us in South Mississippi, lower 90s is a classic high temperature of the day for summer, and it's exactly what we got on Saturday and Sunday. So if you are a fan of your usual textbook summer-like weather on the Mississippi coast, you might be getting into more of that typical stuff Saturday, Sunday for your weekend plans. Before the weekend, it's not very typical. We've got higher than usual heat on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we've got higher than usual rain chances that begin late on Wednesday and continue into Thursday and Friday. So hopefully you're now much better informed on the weather forecast as we head into these changes into the next few days. And I'm really hoping that your air conditioner can win this fight with this heat wave that we are hitting into late July. Well, I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. That'll do it for this Tuesday edition of Waking Up with Wesley. Have a great one, and we'll catch you again next time.
Waking Up with Wesley has been sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.